Right, Vanda. I've asked everybody the same question. Tell us about your first night down the Reno.
My first night, it wasn't a night actually.
Go on.
It was in the middle of the daytime, and my sister come and got me from school and told the teacher I had a dentist appointment. Because she didn't want to go down there on her own.
Right.
And she'd come and got me, and we went down the Reno. We spent the afternoon in the Reno drinking and smoking.
How old was you?
15.
How old was you? It's Vilma, isn't it?
Yeah,
How old was she?
Sister Vilma. She was in her like 20s. She was only in her 20s. But it all started for me. The very first time I ever knew about the Reno, ever seen the Reno, was when my brother Raymond Buller took me down there, and he went down to see somebody in the Reno and left me outside in the car, parked up. And I was just looking, and he said to me, "Don't speak to nobody, don't open the door to nobody, just completely don't say a word." And I went, "Right, okay." And I'm just looking about, and like you do, and the next thing, this little guy comes to the top of the door at the Reno, which was Cooley.
Oh.
And he had a white t-shirt on, braces, jeans. And I just thought, my God, he's gorgeous.
Oh.
He's just absolutely gorgeous. And I was about 14 at the time. And I just went like that in the car so he couldn't see me, because I just felt really embarrassed. Anyway, that was the first time I ever seen Cooley. I didn't even know who he was. I didn't ask my brother who he was or anything. And then as time went on, like I say, my sister come and got me, and the first time I ever went in the Reno was under the pretences of a dentist appointment. We just stayed there all day. And that became a regular thing for my sister to come and get me from school. Take me down the Reno.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, and I started going down there on my own, and I went down there for a lot of years, and I never knew Cooley was the DJ.
Wow.
Never knew that him and Persian were the two guys that played the tunes down there, because when I went down there, I'd always sit with Vilma and H.
Yeah.
Or I'd be with my brother Raymond. So I never did ever get anywhere near the DJ stand. And it wasn't until one night we'd all been in Cloisters, me, my friend Dawn, and a few others, Big Carol, Black Carol, I don't know if
I can't think if
she used to live down here, but I can't remember her second name. She's got a daughter to Dennis, Fonso's good friend, Dennis. Is it Dennis Marr?
Oh,
Big Dennis Marr. Yeah. Anyway,
go on.
We all went from there, come out of there, and we all went down the Reno, like you do. And the next thing, I've tripped and I've come down the stairs and snapped the heel off my shoe, pissed off. Of course, I'm stood there and I'm walking about like this. So, like, come out the toilet, come back from the bar, and as I stood at the door where the speakers used to be, at the main door, I'm stood there, and Cooley must have seen me hobbling about, and he come over to me and he said, "Have you done something to your foot? Have you hurt yourself?" So I said, "No." I said, "I snapped the heel off my shoe." I said, "So I'm walking about like." He went, "Charman, what size?" He said, "I've got 5 sisters. One of them must have a shoe that's going to fit you."
Yeah.
And I looked at him, but I was so embarrassed and I couldn't really. So I said to him, "Well, I'm a size 5, you know." He went, "Stay there, man." He said, "I'll soon come." So he goes out, he must have run home, gone through all his sister's shoes to see if he could find his pair of size 5s. Obviously, all his sisters are massive. It was all in 7s, 6s and 7s. And he come out, he went, "Sorry, they're all 6s and 7s. He said, "Sorry, I can't help you." I went, "No, but that was so nice of you."
Oh.
And that was it. That was it then. And then the next thing, he's got hold of Carol and said to Carol, "Can you get me a date with your friend?"
Oh.
And that was it. Then it all started from there.
So what's it all started? Go on.
Well, we got together and we ended up living together, and then we had a beautiful daughter called Sanika.
Who's here today, folks?
Who's here today. And we stayed together a lot of years.
How long's a lot of years?
I think it was about 10, 12 years.
Wow.
And for back in the day, that was good going.
Yeah, no, it was.
You know, and he played every night in the Reno. Every night and weekends. And then, you know, he had offers for Piccadilly Radio to go and play on Piccadilly Radio.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, with Mike Shaft.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and Mike Shaft wanted him to go. But because Cooley wouldn't speak, he liked to just play his tunes, as everybody knows. He didn't speak or anything. Mike Shaft weren't up for that. So Cooley said, "Nah, man, I ain't doing it. I don't speak, you know." And then he played in Studio 54. He DJ'd in Studio 54 while we was together.
In New York?
No, the one that they had here in Manchester.
Oh, okay.
It was, was it in London? I can't remember if it was Manchester or London, but he actually played in one of the Studio 54. And they wanted him as a resident DJ, but because he had to speak again, he said, "No, I'm not doing it." I mean, you know, the amount of opportunities that he had, but because back in the day they wanted speaking DJs, it was only the Reno you could go in, or any of the pubs or clubs in Moss Side where the DJs didn't speak.
I know, we'd have been like, the fuck's wrong with him?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
It wasn't done. It just wasn't done.
Yeah.
So obviously he stayed in the Reno, you know, and that's where he played his music, and it was unbelievable, the music he played. And he'd get up on a Saturday morning, he'd get his blues and soul, he'd go through all the new releases or all the imports that he could get his hands on, and then he would spend literally hours upon hours at the record shop.
Yeah. From
early in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, 5 till he shut, ordering these imports and, you know, just listening. And that's what he did, you know, and that's how he gathered all his music. And he played all over. We went to London. I think it was Studio 54 in London he played.
Yeah.
Because we did go to London one time with Gary Essie.
Oh, yeah.
He took us down in his Lotus.
He
took us down and we was like that. He had a telly in it and everything. We thought we was a bollocks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But so it was all good. I mean, all my memories are all good with Cooley. You know, they're all good.
I've got 2 questions. How did it feel to be the wife, right, of, you know, like, of somebody that's out every single night?
Not nice.
Yeah.
But because I understood his passion, it didn't bother me. You know, it really didn't bother me. I don't think, if it did bother me, I don't think we'd have been together from the start.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he was totally dedicated to his music.
No, he was.
You know, totally dedicated to it. I mean, and we lived at his mother's when we first got together.
Right.
With his mum and his sisters and his brothers. You know, so it wasn't easy. We lived in this tiny little room.
Which bit is it you?
On Quinny Crescent.
Oh, okay, yeah.
On Quinny Crescent, and we lived in this tiny little back room. And then we got our place in Longsight. And once we moved in there, it was just brilliant. You know, it was absolutely fantastic.
I remember that
massive big sound system with his quadraphonic sound and everything else. And he used to sit there with my Aaron, and he'd play his tunes to my Aaron, my youngest boy, that is. And now Aaron is a DJ.
Oh, okay.
And
wow.
He's a DJ, and the first tune that Cooley ever bought him was the Dutchie. Past the Dutchie to the left hand side.
Yeah.
And he thought it was brilliant. He thought it was absolutely brilliant. But it was Cooley that got him into music. Because Aaron was only a little boy, he was only a baby, and he'd kneel down and he'd say, he called him Daddy Cools, and he'd say, "Daddy Cools, can we listen to this one?" And he knew all the tunes, and he'd have his headset on and he'd play his tunes to him. You know. And now Aaron he's a producer DJ. He writes his own stuff and
he makes a living from it.
No, he doesn't make a living from it. He plays gigs, and he's at City in the Park, and he went over to Ibiza last year for, I think it was about 5 months, and played out in Ibiza. So he's a music man.
My second question was, how did he afford to buy the music? Because I can't imagine Phil paid him much.
Phil paid him nothing.
Really?
He never got paid off Phil.
Wow.
Cooley did it purely for the passion and the love. Persian got paid. Cooley was never recognised by Phil as the main DJ.
Yeah, but he does get recognised on these memoirs. A lot of people really rate Cooley. So
Yeah,
he's
but,
you know,
but Phil would never, you know what I mean? Persian got more money than Cooley ever got. If Cooley ever got money, it was what Persian had given after being paid by Phil, but he was never ever recognised by Phil as the Reno DJ. Persian was.
So how was he buying his records then?
Well, he used to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. He worked on the railway.
Oh, yeah.
He was a shunter on the railway for a lot of years. And, you know, that's all his money went on tunes. You know, and he'd give me my housekeeping, whatever I needed for me and the kids and, you know, for the house. And the rest went on his tunes. But I never ever said to him, you can't buy your music, because there was no point. I mean, when I started going out with Cooley, Cooley's passion was Cooley. And that's what I loved about him. He was just so dedicated to his sound. So I never questioned it. I never, ever.
So how old was you when you got together?
Late 20s, I'd say.
Bloody hell, so from 14?
Late 20s. No, it might have been even early 30s. Yeah. All them years.
Wow.
Not knowing who he was until that night he come and actually spoke to me in the Reno.
So it's just...
And it weren't until we met up and he took me out that I actually knew he was the play tunes in the Reno. It was really weird. You know, I never put the two together. Even the first night we ever spoke, I never put the two of them together. So, yeah, it was very strange, but yeah.
So did you go out when he was DJing? Did you go out much with him when he was DJing?
Oh, every weekend I'd be down there with him, stood up there with him, you know. And then, obviously, when Sanika came along, I didn't go down there. And I stopped going down because it just weren't for me to be stood there on the side of the stage, you know what I mean? And I just didn't want to do it. I only did it for a short time. He used to take me down there when I was carrying Sanika and show me off, like, look.
We all used to go down there pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All our kids are Reno kids. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was, it weren't anything unusual to see a pregnant woman in the Reno.
No, absolutely. Try and describe the atmosphere.
Oh, wow. The atmosphere in the Reno. Obviously, you'd have all these brilliant tunes and people were just dancing and smoking and talking and, and on a weekend you just couldn't move, It was just the place to be. And okay, you had your fights in there. I can remember Sid Wolf getting his throat slit in there.
Was you there?
Yeah, that night.
Oh, tell me about that.
Yeah, it was a girl that smashed a bottle. I don't know what he'd done to her. But he'd done something to her, and the next thing, we was all sat there. I was sat there with my brother Raymond, his woman at the time, Janice, and like talking, and the next thing, this woman's just smashed this bottle, and she's just slit his throat with it. Well, the blood's just we was all covered. She's just, done him there and then, and he's like this.
Oh my God.
And they just hustled him out, but yeah, I don't know what it was over. I don't know what the fight was over, but she did him with a bottle.
Vanda, what happened after that moment? Typical Reno. Tell me what happened after that.
Everyone just carried on.
Exactly, I knew you was going to say
Everyone
that.
just carried on.
Yeah.
I just went in the toilet, wiped myself down. Ray went in the toilet. Me and Jan went, swiped ourselves down, got rid of the shit on the table, the blood and everything, got rid of the glasses and went to the bar, got more drinks and sat back down and carried on.
I knew you was going to say
You'd
that.
have people fighting and the guys would sit there still playing the dominoes and the cards, do you know what I mean? You'd have all this going on.
It was proper electric, wasn't it?
There was never a dull moment.
Yeah.
There was just never... Me and my sister took the band war down there.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did you meet the band?
We went to see them. We went to see them at the Apollo.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It was a free trade hall.
I love war.
Was it? It was the Apollo. We went to the Apollo to see what they was on with Earth, Wind and Fire.
Bloody hell, man. That's some...
line-up.
Isn't it?
And Earth, Wind and Fire was the backup band. They weren't the main event. War was.
I went to that concert.
Well,
Go on.
Go. War
Yeah.
was. War was the
Yeah.
main, and Earth, Wind and Fire were the next ones on after them at the Apollo. And we ended up going backstage
Yeah.
and having drinks and stuff. And me and my sister Vilma ended up staying with them for 3 days. And we took them down the Reno.
Wow.
And they just couldn't believe it. Absolutely just couldn't believe it. They went up and spoke to, well, obviously Cooley in Persian and that. And this was before, again, I knew who Cooley was playing the tunes. Do you know what I mean? It was my sister that took them up there, and I just sat at the table and waited for us to come back with them. And yeah.
So where was you for 3 days, girl?
In the hotel with them.
Which hotel was it?
Midland.
Of course, it had to be the Midland them days, didn't it?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Yeah.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
I didn't know war had been down there.
Yeah.
I love war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was with the sax player, my sister. My sister was with the drummer.
Go on, girl, man. Wow. I'm proper impressed.
Thank you. Well, so was I at the time.
I am proper impressed.
Yeah, so was I at the time.
Wow.
But yeah, there was just never a dull moment. It was such the place to be. It was always buzzing. There was always something going on, you know.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, and the tunes. If Cooley was on a roll, you just didn't get off the dance floor.
I know, you could die on that dance floor, couldn't you?
You'd go in and you'd start, and that'd be
Yeah.
another one would come on. But you just didn't get off the dance floor.
Yeah, you go to walk off
Yeah.
and go, tune,
Yeah,
yeah.
You'd go back and start again.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then you'd see your mates and you'd sit down and have a gab and, you know. I mean, I used to stand at the bar talking to Linda Joando for ages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd
Linda
stand talking to
Joando.
her for ages.
Yeah.
Like, I better go, Linda, you know what I mean? You'd be wondering where I am and, yeah.
Wow, what a place, man. What a place.
It was unbelievable.
Tell us your favourite night in there. You just told me your worst night. That's got to be your worst night.
Yeah, that was the worst night in there. Worst night I've ever had.
Yeah.
I think my favourite night in there was one night when me and Cooley very first got together, and I had my sister Vilma and her guy H sat in the corner.
Is H Hadge?
No.
No.
Harry Benz.
Oh, okay, don't know. Go on.
And the you know, the little alcove that you used to have, you'd have the DJ stand, and then you'd have an alcove either side.
Yeah.
Where the speakers was.
Yeah.
We used to always sit on the right hand side one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'd always sit in there, and this particular night, I was sat talking to Vilma and H, and Vilma was saying, "Oh, you two don't have to look cute together, and oh, you really suit each other, and oh, do you love him?" And, you know, all this, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, "Shut up, you daft get." You know what I mean? And then Cooley came over and just took me on and took me on the dance floor, and that was it. But that was, we just danced away, and Cooley didn't dance.
No, he didn't actually.
Very, very rare.
No,
he didn't
didn't,
dance, you know, so I felt quite honoured that he did that, and that has got to be my best night, that one. Because it stands out so much. And I went in there thousands of times over the years. But that is, yeah, that's the one that stands out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my little bit.
Oh, I can't think of something to ask you now. You've told me your best, you told me your worst.
Told you about war.
Yeah, well,
My claim to fame.
absolutely. I tell you what, that's a bloody great claim to fame,
That's
man.
my
That's
claim
a
to
proper
Yeah.
claim to fame.
Yeah. Yeah. The amount of times I've bloody come down them stairs and slipped on my ass, pissed up, and, you know, just giggled, and it was just one of them clubs where you never felt threatened by anything.
Yeah. Even though you've seen someone's throat being slashed in there.
That was the norm. It was Moss side. You know, that was the norm. It was like when Cooley's brother got hacked up in and was in the gutter outside the Reno when he'd been macheted in the neck and nearly lost his head and everything. Chris Otto, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. I knew that he'd been hit with an axe, but I didn't know he'd been slit in the throat as well.
No, the back. Yeah.
Who did that?
I don't know. The guys, all the guys like Ozzy and Cottier, they all know because they all hung out together. But I mean, I never really had much to do with Chris.
Right.
But yeah, I can remember him being in hospital and yeah, it wasn't nice. I mean, it was just, the Reno was just, and them days, you never felt threatened unless you was in the wrong company, if you know what I mean.
No, tell me what you mean.
When I say wrong company, I mean, it's like, you used to have your violent guys down there, but you know, everybody had their own little cliques.
Yeah, they did.
So you don't get involved with the naughty boys, as to speak. So as long as you left them alone, they'd leave you alone. So it was all, you know, it was all very respectable in that sort of way. But you just didn't go looking for trouble, basically.
It's amazing what you've just said. It's really true that there was loads of different types of us in there. And like you said, you just turned a blind eye to each other's. You said hello, didn't you? Yeah. You know what, like when you went in or you nodded or whatever. And you knew loads of shit about loads of people.
But you just didn't get involved. Yeah, you didn't get involved. You just don't, you know.
So you know Kevin Otto then as well?
Kevin, yeah, he's still going.
Yeah,
Kevin.
yeah.
You know, all Cooley's sisters, his mum.
Yeah. So why did you not have much to do with Chris?
Chris was the type of guy, if he liked you, he liked you. If he didn't, he didn't. And me and Chris never really seen eye to eye. That was just the way Chris was. You know, he was a funny character. And get that chop in the neck never did him any favours. In fact, it changed him so much.
Okay.
He was really placid and quiet, and he'd always stand there with a handkerchief up to his mouth.
I forgot about that.
You know, he'd stand there and he'd just, you know, and that's all you'd get out of Chris. You know, and even after him getting chopped in the neck, that was all you got out of him. But being within the family, I seen another side to him. Yeah. Which was completely different to the way he was before all that happened. You know, he changed so much. He sort of like went into a recluse, more or less.
Okay.
You know.
But that's loads of attacks he's had on himself, though, isn't it, over the time? No wonder he's gone a bit weird.
Well, he lost his girlfriend, didn't he, Bonnie? Remember, she got hit by a car.
Yeah. No, she was in a car crash.
That's right, and got dismembered. And, and he's seen that he was there with all that, so it must have an effect on you.
Of course it must. Oh, that's a lot of tragedy in his life.
Yeah. He lost his son, Dominic, as well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he did have a lot to deal with. And it does change you. I couldn't even begin to imagine what it's like to lose a child.
No.
I've lost family, but losing a child, I can't begin to imagine what that must be like. So, you know, he didn't have it easy. Not at all.
Wow. Tell me about your family. Where do you come from? Where's your family from?
My mum's Cambridge.
Oh, okay.
My mum lived in Cambridge, from Cambridge. And she came here with the two sisters to Manchester for a weekend.
For a holiday?
Yeah, just for a break.
Yeah.
Partying, whatever. And she never went back to Cambridge. She stayed.
Why did she stay?
Well, obviously it was because she'd met Huey Buller, I think it was.
Okay.
And had two children to him, Raymond and Vilma. They split up, my mum and Buller, and then she met my dad, Rupert Martinez.
Right.
And then she had me. She didn't stay with my dad. And I stayed with my mum. Then my mum had two more kids, two more girls after me. But I never really knew the understanding of what it was like to be in the Buller family, because I wasn't a Buller, but it was Sylvia had all the boys and Sylvine, and Raymond and Vilma used to go round there and see the dad, but I never did. I mean, I used to go round there, but I never felt part of that family, even though they accepted me and always said that I was their sister. I never felt like I ever was. Do you know what I mean?
Why is that?
I don't know. I don't know what the reason for that was, because I was never treated bad by any of them.
But you just know that you're not their blood, though, are you?
Yeah. There's no blood connection between me and Fonso's side of the family. I've got a brother and sister that are Bullers.
Yeah.
But Fonso's side, from his mum, I just didn't feel any. But I never felt a very close connection to any of my family, and I don't know why.
To even your own.
Yeah, even Raymond and Vilma, Shan and Bobby, my other two sisters. I just never felt. I always felt like a loner, and I don't understand.
Even
why.
within the family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you feel all right with your mum though? I don't mean you felt bad with them.
No, yeah, of course, yeah. But I just didn't feel. I can't really explain that to you, Linda, because I don't quite understand it myself. You know, now all these years, I still have never figured it out why that was. But yeah, but I spent a lot of years in Cambridge as well I got pneumonia when I was a baby.
Oh, okay.
A week old, and my mum, they wouldn't, because we lived in rooms in Grafton Street.
Yeah.
They wouldn't allow me to come back out of the hospital because the rooms was too damp.
Okay.
So my auntie took me to Cambridge.
For how long?
Till I was 12 years old, and I was backwards and forwards.
But that's your answer.
So I know.
Yeah.
Definitely the same with me.
So
I think this is what she's saying. It's definitely Cambridge going away. When you're young, it breaks the bond of the family and things.
Yeah. So
that's your answer.
You know, and I mean, you've been there when Uncle Pat said my dad was chasing the car down the road to get me back, and it's like, but my dad was never close.
Right.
You know, so, but yeah, and you learn to deal with it, don't you? You just get on with your life and you don't question these things. But it's only now that all these things start wanting answers.
Well, that's interesting. Right, go back again, right? I'm not quite understanding. So you've got pneumonia. How old are you when you've got
a week old?
So you're a week old when you've got pneumonia.
They wouldn't let me back out of the hospital.
So one of your aunties called.
My mum's sister, my Aunt Doreen, who she came to Manchester with for that weekend, she said to me, Mum, look, they won't, what we could do, we'll take her back to Cambridge with us.
And she's married?
She was married to my Uncle Pat.
And they've got kids?
No, they didn't have any children. My Aunt Doreen couldn't have any children. She ended up adopting.
So it's making absolute more sense. So you go back as an only child?
Yeah.
To Doreen and her husband?
Yeah.
Go on.
And then I was there from up to 12 years old. But I was backwards and forwards to Manchester as well, because she used to bring me back to see my mum and, the Raymond and Vilma. And our Vilma had come out to Cambridge and stay out there. And she'd come out for the 6 weeks holidays and stay with us.
Wow.
So it was a bit strange, because then when I finally came back to Manchester to live, I just didn't feel right. And I hated it.
Oh.
I had to come back into this environment that I didn't really know anything about.
Yeah.
You know.
So what kind of house was you living in Cambridge, and what kind of...
3-bedroomed house what my auntie and uncle owned.
Right. So
and beautiful gardens,
own
countryside, my own bedroom and dolls' houses and stuff. God. It was a completely different upbringing to Manchester. And my mum did everything for me, don't get me wrong. My mum gave us the best she could. She always worked, never ever out of a job, and she brought us all up on her own.
Yeah.
You know, and she gave us the best she could. But it was the difference between coming back to rooms and living in a house.
Wow.
You know, I'd come home and to Manchester, and my mum would be in rooms upstairs, and we was all in one room, and it was just...
Where would you be then? Still in
Grafton Street.
You're still in Grafton Street when you were 12?
Yeah, Grafton Street. And then Mum got the masonette in Ancoats.
Yeah.
From there, and that's when we all moved to Ancoats.
But that's still not a 3-bedroomed house in Cambridge.
It's completely different. It's concrete sitting, it compared to countryside, your own house, private, garden, front garden, car, just everything.
So what are you questioning? You said now you're asking these questions coming up now. What is it?
It was just the questions that why I never felt part of the family. It just didn't. I never felt like part of the family.
And how would that feel though when you'd come back to Manchester? Because you were a little girl.
Strange.
And I suppose
really
it's a
strange.
secret, isn't it?
It's just weird because you make your friends and then you say, right, see you later, bye, going out. And then you come back and pick up where you left off. Do you know what I mean? It was like living 2 lives, basically. It was like having 2 lives, 2 separate lives. And when you're a kid, you don't take all that on board.
Yeah.
You don't take the fact that you're living 2 separate lives. You just know that your life is very different to everybody else around you. Like my mates.
Yeah.
They all lived in the same place. They weren't backwards and forwards,
No, of course.
So
how did your colour play in that?
I never felt it ever played a part in that, because in Cambridge I never looked at my colour. I always just thought of myself as white. I know that might sound silly,
That doesn't sound silly. Go on.
I always thought of myself as white. I mean, I knew I wasn't. I knew I was half caste, but my colour never came into it. And it was only like when you start getting the abuse at school and all that side of it that you start questioning, well, yeah, okay, so what? I'm half caste.
Yeah.
You're white, I don't call you white. Shit, do I? Why are you calling me a black shit?
Wow.
It's... I suppose you all deal with it different, don't you?
So I find this for myself, are you trying to fit yourself together now at this age and see where everything fits?
Yeah.
Trying to kind of like make yourself one person. That kind of happens to me now.
I feel, when I met Chris, when I met my husband and I'm in Norfolk, when I went to Norfolk, I felt like I'd come home. And Norfolk is only 50 miles from Cambridge.
Okay.
And we still go back to Cambridge, don't we, and take my uncle out, because I lost my auntie.
Yeah.
And we go back and we take my uncle out and we have chats. And he just loves it because he just oozes back in the day, and we talk about it all the time, and it's all his memories, And it's lovely, isn't it? And he's on cloud 9 when we've had a visit, when we've been to see him, because it took him back to when times was good.
And he's got somebody to talk about over them times. Where people aren't around where he's living. Yeah. To talk about those times.
Aunt Doreen's not there. I mean,
you can talk about his life.
Yeah, bring all the memories back up and relive them.
Yeah, and all the photographs of me as a baby in Cambridge, and growing up, and I've got his. You've seen him, haven't you? So
to him, you're his kid, aren't you?
Yeah. He's got a boy, and me. He was always the dad I never had. My Uncle Pat, always.
So he's from Manchester.
And he's from Manchester, but he was born in India.
What? How? Why?
Well, his mother and father, his father's Indian in Shire.
Oh, okay.
Who, Pat's father?
Yeah, he was born in India.
Yeah, but I didn't know if they were soldiering out there or colonialism and all that sort of stuff.
Well, there could have been that. Do you know, I've never asked him about that. I'll find out. But yeah, it's just been a bit of a strange life.
No, it's hugely strange because, right, you just said that your uncle, who's your dad, is born in India, but your husband's also born in Africa.
I know,
yeah. And he's white.
But Vanda's brought up in Norfolk.
Yeah.
Cambridge,
which is East Anglia, and I'm born in Africa, and I'm now living in East Anglia where Vanda was brought up.
He's proper strange.
He's mixed race. His father's from another country.
And like I say, when I met Chris and I went to Norfolk, I felt like I'd come home. I just felt like I'd come home.
So how did you meet Chris and how did you get to Norfolk?
Well, we met on the internet, didn't we? And then,
Yeah.
Oh.
And then I went to Norfolk on a blind date.
Well,
Did
we talked for a month on
Yeah,
the
we
phone.
talked for a
Yeah.
month on the phone.
And we said, yeah, you got to come to Norfolk, because I was single then. I'd split up from a 21-year sort of relationship. So I'd come down and have a weekend. And sure enough, she turned up for a weekend, spent a weekend with me, went back for a fortnight, came down for another weekend and never left.
Wow.
And that was it.
But like you said, you've gone home.
I just, where I live is just so beautiful and I just feel so comfortable there. I'm more country than people that were born there.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
So when you'd come back to Manchester, how did that feel? When you was 12?
Well, it never felt like I was coming home. I was coming on holiday.
Oh, okay.
I was coming on holiday. I weren't coming home.
What I'm thinking, tell me if this is true or not, because then you're a bit posh. When you're little, when you come back to Manchester, in my mind, I'm seeing you as a bit posh.
I think I was, yeah.
Yeah. So how did that fit in when you came back to Manchester?
Well, it didn't last very long, that's for sure. It didn't last very long.
Yeah.
Because you lose it. You have to fit in with your environment.
No, exactly. So good.
I've had it all my life because the way I talk to my parents and things, everybody sees me as a bit posh sort of thing. But I've never lived with posh people. My life's always been with working people all my life because I've been a working person and left home very young. So it's strange, but I know.
But on the surface of it, I see you as posh.
Yeah, that's the trouble.
Yeah.
All the people I'm around, I feel behind it all. I'm not properly fitting in because I know I'm not working class. I know I've got a plummy accent, but it's the only person I am is working class, and I haven't got posh friends and posh
But that's
walls.
how you two fit together, really, isn't it? Because you're both wrong.
Yeah. That is very much most probably why we're connected. Because our
Completely.
lives are so similar.
Yeah.
For similar reasons that we've got a lot
From
of
the
connection.
wrong, from the opposite end,
from the
isn't
opposite,
it?
both opposite ends, but that somehow throws us back to the
Back
Yeah.
to the same middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when you get back in Manchester, you've got to learn how to F and everything again, haven't you? You've got to be one of us, basically. Go on, tell us what the real version is.
Well, I am Mancunian,
Yeah.
obviously, because I was born here. I was born in St Mary's on Whitworth Street.
Yeah.
So I am Mancunian. There's no two ways about that. But I don't feel like a true Mancunian. I don't feel. Oh God, it's a bit of a weird one to try and explain.
But you've got more of that Mancunian mentality and everything, because I'm very shy and reserved, and I think that is to do with my parents and upbringing. Where Vanda's got qualities I haven't got. She confronts, she deals with things. She's not frightened to get in there and say what is and this and that. While I'm sort of so reserved about things.
Yeah.
And so you have got that Mancunian upbringing, and that does come out. That is your personality.
Yeah.
You bring in qualities into our relationship that I haven't got. I never could get.
Yeah, you can't acquire what you've not been born with.
No.
Can you?
No.
But what I'm just thinking, you can't say that you've got a doll's house. When you come back to Manchester, can you say, I've got a doll's house?
No, I didn't have any of that. When I come to Manchester to live, all I came back with was my clothes.
What brought you back to Manchester?
Well, my mum wanted me back.
Oh, okay.
My mum wanted me back, so I didn't have any say in the matter. So Aunt Doreen said, right, okay. And it was when I, came back that's when it's like, well, wait a minute. I didn't want to come back, don't get me wrong. I love my mum and everything, but I love Cambridge more.
Yeah.
But I had no say in it. But I adapted to it and I got back into it, do you know what I mean? And it was like, okay. And then I used to go to Cambridge in the 6 weeks holidays and stay in Cambridge for the 6 weeks holidays.
That must have been so weird.
It was, but you deal with it, don't you? You have to, because nobody's going to change it.
Yeah.
You can't change it. And your mum's your mum, and what your mum says goes.
I think you definitely take the positive side of everything when you're younger as well. So.
What do you mean?
I think things are so different, but you don't see it as so different. You just see, you look at this is fun. This is this is something else happening in your life. You look at it as a positive.
Did you feel like that, Vanda?
To be quite honest, I can't remember feeling negative about Cambridge, but I always felt negative about Grafton Street and Manchester when I was here. I never felt right. I never felt like it was right. I used to sit on the pavement and think, why am I here?
Oh.
Why am I here? I don't even know why I'm here. And I'd sit there for hours just thinking that. And, you know, when things just stick in your head from being a kid, and that is one of the things that stays with me, sitting on the pavement, messing about in the grid. Now, when I was in Cambridge, I never did that. I was taken on boats and lived a really good life and took down the River Carmen, took on walks and picnics. We went on holiday.
Yeah.
You know.
It's funny because at the same time I think natural as well. I'm out in the countryside because I was born in the countryside, and at the same time I feel sort of natural, but at work and doing other things, I've exactly like you. I keep sitting in today questioning, what am I doing here?
What am I doing here?
What's this? And I know what I'm doing here. I'm trying to earn money to make a living. But I can't understand why I'm living my life like this. It just doesn't fit in with how I feel like, what makes me feel natural, makes me feel good.
But would you know what? I must say this.
Go on.
I wouldn't change any of it.
Oh, go on, why?
Because it's made me who I am.
Yeah.
And it's given me qualities that I never thought I would ever have, like being confident in myself and, because I wasn't confident as a kid.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't change any of the way I was brought up or the circumstances. I wouldn't change any of it. I wouldn't change anything.
Because it does make you who you are.
Because they was my stepping stones.
I don't regret the things that happened to me either. No.
I wouldn't.
At one time I did. I could look back and very negatively what happened. All the schooling and everything went wrong. But no, I don't. I think this thing that made my character. How come I survived what I went through there? Sort of Victorian sort of boarding school, being caned and punished every day, and all the rest of it. At 9 years old, not being able to cope with the lessons they were giving me, and learning Latin and French. I couldn't even learn English.
Wow.
And then but you think, well, that should have cracked you up, but you think, no, it gave you some sort of character, give you some strength, and perhaps that's positive, and that's good.
Do you think it's our age now, being able to think about it positively?
Oh, definitely. As you get older,
you can look at it more subjectively.
You look at it in a different way. You look at everything and you analyse everything in a completely different way. And you make more sense of things. Yeah. You
can see the circles, can't you? Like, if this hadn't happened, this wouldn't have happened. And lots of good things have happened.
Well, everything's a stepping stone, isn't it, to get you to the next piece of your life.
When you was around 30, though, what did you think about it all?
I didn't think about it at all. I just did. I didn't. As I got older, I learned to forget about it and never question it and just put it to the back of my mind until I was ready to deal with it all. Because I wasn't
so caught up with life and everything else.
And because I had all the kids and everything.
You do show all these things, and then
they was
like you say about age, when you get this age, then you start to deal with it and you start letting it come over. Then you can deal with it in a mature way, sort of thing, instead of letting it become a chip on your shoulder about what was wrong.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I was kind of getting at. When you're about 30, you do have a lot, but I had a chip on my shoulder. Definitely, if this hadn't have happened, if that hadn't have happened, and my mum was this, and and
it is difficult, and I did shelve a lot of it because I had other things going on in my life, like the kids, and sorting my own life out to make sure that everything was okay, but it wasn't, because I did go off the rails.
Wonderful to me. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's like. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
There is a success story at the end.
Yeah, there is some kind of,
It's not all just negative and casualties.
Yeah.
You can pull through it.
Yeah.
How did that start?
I don't really want to go into that, Linda. Okay. I don't want to go into that side of my life. I don't think it's relevant to this. I don't think it's relevant to the Reno story. Yeah. And that's all I wanted to get across to you, was my side for the Reno. basically. And
so come back to the Reno now, right, with all we know about you, right, about Cambridge and everything, right? Now going to the Reno, now tell me about your first night in the Reno, the first day in the Reno again, because you're only 3 years back from Cambridge.
Yeah.
So what did that, now I understand you more and more of your story. What does that look like now?
It wasn't anything, because Raymond and Vilma was always in there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They was always down there. And I'd adapted to living back in Manchester, and I used to woke up, my mum would wake up, and Raymond and Vilma had only been in a couple of hours because they used to sneak out and go to clubs, the Evan and L and all the other different clubs. So it was like, you adapt to it very quickly, to your surroundings.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything, I didn't find it disturbing in any way. It was just mischief that we used to get up to.
Yeah.
And that was the way it was, so it was like, and then even going in the Reno, it didn't even seem like an eye-opener. I didn't feel frightened or anything like that, it was what you do. Just go in there and you have a drink and you have a smoke, and so it weren't frightening. I didn't find it frightening.
No, I'm not thinking of it, because I've just assumed that you're like me, like a kind of Manchester girl.
Yeah.
Now I find out you're a Cambridge girl, really, and now I see like a totally different girl going down.
Well, nobody knows this side of me.
No, exactly.
Nobody knows that. Cooley knew, obviously. Yeah. My family know, but nobody knows this. It's strange, isn't it, how you start talking to someone and then you find things out. Wow.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, the Reno was, I'd say, got to be the best place on earth.
Oh.
Back in the day.
No, back in the day.
Yeah, you couldn't be, you really couldn't. You couldn't wait like that when you come out. Right, let's get down there early so we can get a table, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, because when you're getting too late, you can't get past people to get in.
That's it. And sometimes Lottie wouldn't let you in.
No, true enough, if it was
Lottie wouldn't go like that. Nah, man. You're not coming in, it's too late.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So, yeah, you have to get down there early. You'd be itching to get down there.
Yeah, at a certain time in the other club, because you was only in the other club to pass time, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. Just till the Reno opened and got a bit busy, and then you'd say, right, 11, half 10. Right, come on, let's go. We're off.
Yeah, because you'd look like a right twat if you got in there before a certain time.
If you got in early, it used to take hours for that place to fill up.
Yeah.
Because everybody would think the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm not going down there till such and such a time.
Tell us about the toilet.
Oh, God, toilets.
It's not even toilets, it's toilet.
Oh, true. It was one toilet, wasn't it? And a tiny little sink.
Yeah, tell me about.
Can you ever remember the smell of mouldy and damp down there?
I don't, but other people have said this to me.
God, you'd come out of there and you'd stink.
No, other people have said this to me, but no, I don't remember.
You'd pick your clothes up the next day and you'd go, oh my God, it'd stink of damp. And ganja and, you'd just stink of weed. And damp.
Yeah. And 300 girls wee in one toilet.
Yeah. Oh, God. Wading through the water.
Fancy though, yeah. But all the girl fights would take place in the toilet, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
You're trying to get to the toilet and there's a corridor about as wide as for me to Vanda, right?
And then there's one toilet.
Yeah.
One toilet, right? And then, a girl, a fight, wouldn't there? If the fight had come from outside, it would end up in the toilet. Yeah.
Crikey.
Yeah. It was about the width of a door.
Yeah, it weren't very wide,
wasn't it? There was the width of a door,
well,
you couldn't to the side.
You had to pass each other like that.
Yeah.
Like that. You know what I mean? You couldn't go full.
Yeah.
You used to swing round and pass each other like that.
Actually, was there a lock in the door? Did you have to
There was a lock, but it never worked. You had to put your foot.
Yeah, that's right. Or take your friend in to keep the door open.
Put her back up against the door
closed. Yeah. The toilet. I just got a full on and the sink was cracked.
Yeah. Cracked? Didn't it have a piece missing out of it?
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
more than cracked. I don't think it ever worked, did it?
The toilet was the pits, man. But we didn't care, did we?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
definitely not. That was the least, that was the Reno.
The whole club had different happenings, didn't there? There was kind of a vibe near the bar where you'd end up, like you said, chatting near the bar.
Yeah.
There's a vibe in the middle, where people who weren't really regulars would sit.
Yeah, that's right. You get all the Irish guys and women sitting in the middle, and you never went near them tables.
Yeah.
You'd either go round the little alcove that side or the alcove that side.
Yeah.
But it was usually the black guys with the women, the proper Jamaican guys with the women that'd sit on the left-hand side alcove, wouldn't it? In that
and
corner.
Frank and Chips.
No, Frank and Chips was always on the right-hand side.
Right, so I've got right and left wrong. Go in.
You go in.
Down. So it's you that's got right and left wrong.
Yeah, the left side.
Left side was Frank and Chips.
Yeah.
And then the right side.
I remember Cooley one night in there. My goodness, him and Frank had a tete-a-tete.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Right, you got a picture. Frank's like 72 foot and Cooley's about
tiny little thing. This tiny little thing.
Go on.
Yeah.
And Cooley said, "You might be fucking big, man, but I'll take your fucking face off it. You want to take it outside?" And Cooley's offering Frank out, and I'm stood there and I'm thinking, shut up.
He's going to die.
Shut up. Frank just laughed and got hold of his hand and said, "Man, I've got to give you big respect."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because nobody would question what Frank said or Frank did.
No.
Nobody.
Not even his dance.
No. His mad dance. He was as mad as a fucking box of frogs, wasn't he, when he danced?
Yeah.
What's that?
Completely feeling them.
Yeah.
You're completely feeling the music. Yeah. Didn't care who was watching.
No, he had his hanky, wouldn't he?
Yeah. And his movement with the jacket.
Yeah. Oh, what?
Yeah.
But that night, I just stood there and I just thought, I can't believe what you're saying. The biggest man in the club and the smallest one. You're telling him you'll knock him out.
It'd be a great moment in a film.
Oh, God.
Wouldn't it?
Oh, it'd be funny. It'd be funny.
Yeah, I don't remember Cooley ever being like that.
Cooley wasn't.
Yeah.
Cooley was very quiet.
Yeah, that's all I remember.
Very, very quiet. But I tell you upset him and he'd rip your throat out.
Would he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't scared of anything or anybody.
Didn't know him like that.
Oh, yeah, he was a little proper.
People are bad like that.
Proper firecracker.
Don't like getting in fights or avoid it, but when things go, you go beyond the point. You'll fight
stab
the
you
world.
up, man.
I think you've got so much frustration from swallowing rubbish from other people for so long.
Well, it's small person syndrome, isn't it?
When it does come out, then you'll fight the world. If we're going to fight, I'll fight you all.
I think with Cools it was small person syndrome because he was so tiny and a man as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he was proper tiny.
Yeah, and Moss Side upbringing.
Well, you get belittled
he
so
was
much
as hard as
when you have
nails.
to swallow it, or get in a fight.
So
might just be family temper though as well.
He was one of 9, wasn't he, Cooley?
Oh, I didn't realise there was that many of them.
One of 9.
Yeah, because there's loads of sisters in there. Wow.
So it's first up, best dressed.
In their house.
Can I end it there?
Of course you can, love. Thank you so much.